Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the internet, Jan Michael here. Last year, I did a video where I ranked all the Best Picture winners of the last decade from worst to best. And I thought, why not do that with some of the other categories? So that's what I'm doing today with Best Supporting Actress. This is Pecking Order. Just like I did with that video, I'm going to be breaking these off into smaller categories. And I'm starting off with the very bottom. These are the performances that not only did I think weren't very good, but also just aren't memorable whatsoever. And I'm going to begin this section with talking about the first winner of the decade, Melissa Leo for The Fighter.
Businessman?
What?
Oh my God, you know what that sounds like? He's a crook, George!
He owns a taxi cab company. He's organized now.
Oh my God, he's a cab driver. He knows everything about boxing, right?
Yes,
I don't think so. I think he's gonna steal your son's money and rob him blind.
It's never a good sign when you think back on a movie and go, wait, what character did she play again? What significance did she have? Did she have any standout moments? Yeah, you can pretty much see where I'm going with this. Yeah, honestly, I had to go back just to remind myself of what significance Melissa had for the movie The Fighter. And it just turns out that she plays a redneck Karen. You know, that strong, independent woman who don't let no man tell her what to do, but still has a deep love for her children. It's a role we've seen a million times before and done better. Here's a question for you. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of the movie The Fighter? It's Christian Bale, right? Of course, because he's the best thing about the movie. And unfortunately, Melissa's just so forgettable, especially when you compare it to some of the other performances in Christian Bale. So yeah, this is a performance that's gonna get lost to time, remembered really only because of the win itself. Sorry, Melissa, but hey, a win is a win, right? Now, not too far in front of her, I have Alicia Vikander for The Danish Girl.
I need to see Einar.
Let me help, please.
I need my husband. Can you get him?
I can't.
I need to talk to my husband. I need to hold my husband.
Just like with Melissa, I struggled to think of any impactful moments that Alicia had in the movie The Danish Girl. But unlike Melissa, I at least remembered what character she played. Just turns out it wasn't as good as it could have been. That is to say, the character could have been a real powerhouse. Playing Gerda Wagner, the wife of one of the first people to undergo sex reassignment surgery, this could have been a role that truly broke our hearts. As her partner became more comfortable with who they were, she in turn would have to realize that the person she depended on would no longer be able to provide that same comfort. There was definitely potential there, but all I can really remember is Alicia acting sad most of the time, and also being surprisingly cool with everything, which I guess is just the filmmaker's way of saying, hey, look how awesome this person was in real life. Which, great! Only it just didn't leave as memorable an impact as it could have. Moving on. Alright, the last of these low-tier performances goes to one that is most likely gonna make a lot of you angry. Mostly because I still see a lot of people talking very highly about the performance. And that's Patricia Arquette for Boyhood.
You know what I'm realizing? My life is just gonna go like that. This series of milestones. Getting married, having kids, getting divorced. The time that we thought you were dyslexic, when I taught you how to ride a bike. Getting divorced again, getting my master's degree, finally getting the job I wanted. Sending Samantha off to college, sending you off to college. You know what's next? Huh? It's my fucking funeral!
Can I just start off by saying that I think Boyhood is a pretentious piece of shit film? But what's worse is that it's a pretentious piece of shit film that everyone bought into. It's like everyone decided to put on their snobbish attitude, raise their wine glasses in the air and go, "Oh yeah, Boyhood's such a masterpiece. It took 12 years to film and it was well worth the time. The story is marvelous, the acting superb. It is truly a classic." Yeah, well, you know what? I think Boyhood fucking is boring as shit. I think the story is boring as shit. The characters are boring as shit. And what's worse is the boy grew up to be a terrible fucking actor. Which, granted, you couldn't have seen coming, but you took the risk. And let me just clarify that I don't think Patricia does a bad job. It's just that it's such a dull character. If she had a more interesting life, I could have seen more of a reason to vie for her, but she just didn't. And I get that this is supposed to be a real mom character, so it's not gonna have that interesting of a backstory, but I mean, if I'm being completely honest, my own mother had a more interesting life story than this character did. And that's saying something, because I really don't think my mom's life story is anything that interesting. Love you, Mom. Look, does your mother have an Oscar? Because according to this film, she should. But she doesn't, so this film's a dirty liar. Next. Alright, with that section out of the way, let's move on to the next performances. These are the ones that were fine. They were fine, they were good. Which isn't saying much, but it's still saying a heck of a lot more than a forgettable performance. And I'm gonna start this off with Octavia Spencer for The Help.
All right, I'm gonna do it. But I need to make sure she understands this ain't no game we playing here. Slide your chair from under that table. Face me. I need to see you square on at all times.
Let's just be completely fucking honest here. There's only one reason her performance is memorable, and it's because of this.
Eat my shit. What'd you say? I said eat my shit.
Come on, how can you not love that scene? Come on. All right. Apart from that, the performance is, as I just stated, it's fine, it's okay. Actually, the movie The Help has been receiving a lot of backlash recently. But the one aspect of the film that I still see gets defended is Octavia. And that's a pretty good sign, I say. So if you've gotten this far into the video without getting pissed off, let me remedy that with Regina King for If Beale Street Could Talk.
That child is coming. It's your grandchild. I don't understand you. It's your grandchild. What difference does it make how he gets here? The child ain't got nothing to do with that. Ain't none of us got nothing to do with that.
Yes, I know. This one still reaches the top of a lot of people's list, and I get it. But I have to say, I have a bit of a mixed feeling with this performance. I remember coming out of If Beale Street Could Talk and thinking, man, I really liked that film. I thought it was very moving, it was powerful. I really liked Regina's performance. I was vying for her to win the Oscar. But for whatever reason, I've sort of forgot her character and her standout moments. Very similar to the very first performances on my list, which was kind of not a good sign. Now, going back to the performance, I do agree with what I said beforehand. I still think she's a very good actress and does a very good job in this role. And once again, I can see why I vied for her to win the Oscar that year. So now I'm kind of in a weird situation. I can't quite place her high on the list because I do have to admit I did forget about the performance and had to be reminded of it. But I can't quite place her low because when looking back, I do think it's a good performance, so get pissed off all you want, but it's my list. It's what I'm gonna do. You know, make your own list where people can judge you. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that one. Alright, next section. Now these are the performances that are good. They're really good performances, and watching them you can definitely see why they won the Oscar. They might just not have resonated emotionally with me. And I'm starting off this section with Anne Hathaway for Les Mis.
I had a dream my life would be so different from this hell I'm living, so different, no, from what it seemed.
Yeah, you can't deny this one whatsoever. I knew it, you knew it, the Anne Hathaway haters actually probably did deny it, but they knew it too, they just couldn't say. And yeah, sitting and watching this performance, you just know, holy shit, this is an Oscar-winning performance. And it also helps that she has the scene of the film. And for those of you who haven't seen my older videos, let me give you a reminder of what the scene is. The scene is that one part of the movie that you want to show other people. Maybe you don't necessarily want to show them the full film, but definitely the scene. It always helps when the performer is in the scene. So yeah, it's a great performance. And honestly, if she had been in the movie even longer, I could have easily seen her even moving up a notch. But as for the negatives, I will say, I just didn't feel what they wanted me to feel while she was singing. And maybe it's just me, maybe you felt it, but it's supposed to be a very sad and tragic scene and you're supposed to feel bad, and all the while I was just kind of sitting there going, man, that's a good performance. I don't feel sad, but it's a good performance. And yeah, I have to take my feelings into consideration when making the list. So, great performance, definitely worthy of the win. My lack of feelings is what's really holding it back from greatness for me.
Okay.
Alright, next up I have Allison Janney for I, Tonya.
Every penny I make, every penny goes to your skating, and you weren't even fucking trying.
I said I was sorry.
Don't talk back to me.
Saying I'm sorry is not talking back.
Oh, that's supposed to be smart?
Stop it.
Fucking
I just said-
rolling your fucking alien eyes at me when I'm talking to you.
I didn't roll my eyes at
You think I like working for you?
Back
You
to crazy.
selfish bitch.
This is just a fun performance. Whenever Allison is on screen, you're just excited. You want to see what she says, you want to see what she does. She truly makes child abuse look fun, doesn't she? Yeah, that's kind of the problem with the performance, but look, let me explain. Allison's character is not a good person. You're really supposed to hate her and see just what a terrible human being she is. And it's okay to make a performance fun. There's plenty of fun villains out there. But when you're actually looking forward to seeing what she does next in terms of her abuse, you might have gone a bit too far in the one direction. That being said, Allison is doing a fantastic job with the character. Again, you are interested in seeing what she does next, and you're excited whenever she's on screen, which is indication of a great job. And she's caked in makeup, and it's really interesting to see when actors transform into completely different characters. Again, while sitting in theaters, you're just watching the performance going, yeah, that's an Oscar-winning performance. It's not hard to see why. And finally, we come to the last segment. These last three performances are ones that not only were fantastic, but they also emotionally resonated with me. The right emotional resonation, mind you. And I'm starting off this last section with Laura Dern for Marriage Story.
Because the basis of our Judeo-Christian whatever is Mary, mother of Jesus, and she's perfect. She's a virgin who gives birth. unwaveringly supports her child and holds his dead body when he's gone. And the dad isn't there. He didn't even do the fucking. God is in heaven. God is the Father, and God didn't show up.
If I'm being completely honest, it's hard to say whether this is going to be one of those performances that does stand the test of time. And a big part of it is that at the time of this video, it is one of the more recent wins, so it's still very fresh in my mind. So time will tell if it is going to last and make that impact. But that being said, looking at the performance as a whole, you definitely get an emotional rise out of watching her perform. Remember how I said that Allison made you happy whenever she was on screen and you always looked forward to seeing what she does next, even when it probably shouldn't have been the case? Well, Laura is the complete opposite, but in all the right ways. She's conniving, but smart, uncaring to most, but knows just what to say to her client to get her on board. She's the very definition of a bitch. And that's just fucking fantastic. It's hard to make a character that you hate so much, especially when it's just an everyday character. But man, does she pull that off fantastically. And I know it's easy to say, oh man, her character just sucks, I hate her, I hated whenever she was on screen, but again, that itself is indication of a great job. This just snaky character. Oh, you just get angry thinking about that character and the performance. Yeah, so I don't know if it will stand the test of time, but just based on how much of an emotional rise it got out of me and a lot of other people, I think Laura is definitely going to be one of the stronger wins of the decade that's going to be remembered well into the future. And thus we've come to the penultimate pick. Who's taking the number 2 spot? Lupita Nyong'o for 12 Years a Slave.
I went to Master Shaw's plantation.
You admit it?
Yes, freely. And you know why? I got this from Mrs. Shaw. Mrs. Epps won't even grab me no soap to clean with. I stink so much I make myself gag.
If you've seen my ranking of the Best Picture winners, you'll know that when I ranked 12 Years a Slave, I mentioned that I just didn't get any sort of emotional impact from the film. So this is the part where I backpedal and you guys call me a hypocrite, because I gotta say the one exception to that was Lupita. Once again, having the scene of the film goes a long way, and Lupita definitely has the scene. And it's no wonder her performance is a tragic one, the complete opposite of Laura. This is one that isn't built on hate, but sympathy. Just look, she knows she's never gonna be free. So instead of anger, she tries to be as sympathetic as possible, pleading for mercy that she also probably knows isn't going to be given. As the audience, we understand the position that she's in. We know there is no escape. This isn't Django where there's gonna be some really awesome payoff of revenge coming up. She is stuck here, and the most we as an audience can hope is to just not see her punished, to hope that she's able to convince the opposite person of her plight. And that's just fucking fantastic. It's a great performance, well worthy of the win, to the point that if she had been in the movie longer, I could have easily given her the number 1 spot. Alright, let's not fuck around here. Number 1 goes to Viola Davis for Fences.
We ain't talking about baseball. We're talking about you going off and laying up with another woman and bringing it home to me. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about no baseball.
You're not listening to me. I'm trying to explain it to you the best way I know how. It's not easy for me to admit that I've been standing in the same place for 18 years.
Well, I've been standing with you. I've been right here with you, Troy. I got a life, too. I gave 18 years of my life to stand in the same spot as you. Don't you think I ever wanted other things? Don't you think I had dreams and hopes? What about my life? What about me?
Come on. Come on. How could Viola not take number 1? What's that? What's that? You don't agree? You don't think it should be number 1? You need me to school you in why this needs to be the #1 pick? Okay, here we go. First and foremost, she has the scene of the movie. And seriously, whenever this film gets brought up, her speech is what is used as a visual aid. So already a strong #1. Second, she is a constant presence throughout the film. I spoke about how if Lupita had been in the movie more, she might have taken that #1 spot. Well, there's really no problem with that here. Viola is a central focus and has a ton of screen time. Third, that monologue is fucking fantastic. There's a reason it's the scene of the movie, because it is goddamn excellent. If Laura made you feel rage and Lupita made you feel sympathy, then Viola is a whirlwind of both these emotions. Her performance, her monologue, starts off very sympathetic. You understand exactly what she's going through, especially if you've been in a relationship, regardless of whether it's a similar situation to this or not. We can understand someone that we love, someone close to us, betraying us and how we would feel in that situation. And then, as is often the case when we're betrayed, we then feel anger. She has a scorn that ends up staying throughout the duration of the film, and that is very well done. Granted, she does take it with a lot more proud vigor than I think most people would in real life, but that being said, she is not a pushover, and that's what makes her character so fantastic and so great to follow. It's also a very raw performance. It's not worried about being pretty because in real life, you probably wouldn't be pretty, and you wouldn't care because of the situation. And if I can give it one more point, it's a far more interesting portrayal of a mother than Patricia's character. Now, obviously, the settings are not the same, but I still attest that this is a character that is supposed to be grounded in realism, but it's a character that's actually interesting. And that's my rankings of the best supporting actress wins of the last decade. Now, obviously, this is the perfect ranking. There can be no other order to things, so don't bother leaving me your comments in the areas below, because I don't want to see wrong comments. You know, I'm just like, I'm always right, so, you know, just go about your day. Hey, stay safe out there while you're going about your day, and like always, have a good one.